So a month ago, I was in New York, and I'm not just saying that to say, oh, I was in New York a month ago. There is a point to this. I was with my team, and we were doing a training session. So I'd sort of flown in about 30 of my team from America. And we had this lovely view looking into Manhattan. We were eating pizza, drinking and everything, all chatting away. And one of my account managers said, Tamara, do you know, it's really nice to properly meet you in person finally. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? We've met each other loads. Why are you saying that? And he said, no, honestly, we haven't actually met in person. And the thing is that he was right. But we've done loads of sort of video calls. And the thing is about my company is that I have about 350 people all working remotely, working from home. But my mind was tricked into thinking I genuinely had met him because we connect with each other on Facebook. I know, about his wife and his children. I know that he loves doing sort of barbecues on the beach in North Carolina. I know all of this because we connect on social and we have video conferences. And it kind of made me realize that it's okay to sort of run this team in this remote way, and you can create an incredible culture as well. So I'll just sort of explain a little bit about what I do because it's really important. I've been running the social element for 15 years, and we basically look after social media for big brands and Instagram and Snap and all that kind of fun stuff. I started it before there was actually much going on in social media, and my dad actually thinks that I invented social media, and I'd be really grateful if no one told him because he's very proud. But I also run a company called Pulpio, which is the most fun you can ever have. It's a crisis simulation company where we simulate brands being attacked online, and then we role-play trolls, journalists, the public, all sorts of things. And I'm very proud that it was actually Isotoma that has built that with us, so a big shout-out to Isotoma, thank you. But the way that my company is actually run is that I have all of these people. So I mentioned 350 people all over the world. I've got a London office, and about 20 people go into that office. I did the whole remote thing myself, so I started it off with no office and no money, essentially. So it made sense to just start everything remotely. And it was really good and everything, but I feel like I've done my time in working at home, and I've done the whole speaking to the cat far too often and getting overexcited when I go to the shops and meet people. So my whole thing that I want to talk about is perhaps more really embracing remote, but perhaps a new way forward of having this kind of hybrid model. So everyone working from home, the reason that they do that, apart from me having, starting the company up myself, we have people who talk back to consumers for brands in different languages, in different cultures. So we work with projects in about 45 different languages. So it works really, really well. But I want to just sort of share the tools, because obviously I'm at a technical conference, so you're all going to be quite interested in, you probably know all of these tools as well. So we use Google Hangouts like they're going out of fashion. We use things like Trello is really good. Slack, I'd like to say that we've embraced Slack and use it right across the company. The truth is that we started using Basecamp 15 years ago. And sometimes when you build, it's very hard to sort of move to a different, better tool. So I kind of, when I'm speaking to non-technical people, I say, oh yeah, we're using Slack. And the truth is we haven't quite embraced it fully. But it is fantastic and I would like to. We also use something called Yammer, which, to be honest, a lot of people have now moved over to just using social media and connecting directly. But Yammer was absolutely vital in creating this culture right from the beginning. Because the thing is, can I just ask, who actually sort of either works remotely or does flexible working, so sometimes they work from home? Yeah, okay, I thought that would probably be the case. There is a notion, people can become a little bit isolated and feel a little bit disconnected from the rest of their team or from the company. So we started off doing things a little bit differently. I kind of wanted to tackle this, and it probably helped that I started with a remote team from day one. I think that made a difference. But we do things like in Yammer, the team started off by sharing pictures of their view from the office. It was such a really subtle, easy thing to do, but it just brought back a bit of a sort of human touch. So people were saying, I work in Australia. There is actually allegedly a kangaroo in that picture. But it also brought on a little bit of competition, because actually the Italians started sharing these beautiful pictures of all these rolling hills and everything. But it just brought people together. It was such a just really small, subtle thing. And then we have sort of people build on that. So when we moved into our new London office, the team sort of had to go and check out the bar for research purposes. I'm sure you understand. But what's really nice is that it's not a London office and everybody else. Everybody feels like they work remotely. The London office is seen as a place where they can pop in if they need to. It's not the office that they all have to go to. And that's a very sort of subtle approach. I sort of see it more like the Matrix, where we're all kind of connected to the hub, which is the social element, not a physical building. But these kind of things inspire other people to then meet up as well. So we've got the team in Valencia, for example. It started off by recruiting a few people in Valencia in Spain, and now there's about 15 of them. And what's lovely is we don't have an office there, but they go around to each other's houses, and they have like meals together and Christmas lunches, and I've flown over and joined them. So there's a big theme, food. If you want to run a really good company with a good culture, just invest in lots of food. But how do you actually do that when it's remotely? And I think sometimes we have had to be a bit creative. And there's one woman in America who's one of the middle managers. When she gets her team together, she tries to do it at meal times, even though it's different time zones, so that they are sort of sitting there on a video call and actually eating together. And it sounds a bit weird, but it can actually connect people. It's just that sort of very different approach. So we're always trying to think, how do you replicate what people consider a normal approach to an office, which is finish your work, go to the pub, go out for a meal. These things are what connect people. So we've always had to think, how do you sort of do that in a remote environment? We also brought out something called the coffee budget, which is essentially if someone is, say, going to Portugal and they're from America, they're going on holiday, if they meet up with one of the social element staff, we pay for their coffee and cake. So it's become the coffee and cake budget now, actually, because we've expanded. We can afford to buy a little bit of cake as well. But you have to be, we have brought in various sort of policies. For example, we noticed that when people are chatting on Skype chat, or they're doing a meeting with a voice conference, people get a little bit, they fall into bad habits. They might start drifting off and typing when they should be listening. So we did bring out that you need to be on video. And again, going back to this human connection, when people are on video, they do have a better relationship and they don't drift off and do other things. It does bring in other issues. I mean, I'm sure people would have seen that BBC video with the children coming in the background while he was live doing an interview. And we seem to have animal-related versions of that. So my chief of people, we were in a director's meeting, and suddenly the screen went black. She went, hold on a minute. And she came back, she was holding a gosling. I still don't know why or what that gosling was doing there, but it brought in a bit of competition, and my other director actually then randomly brought in a kitten to a meeting as well. But what this does is, because we talked about this to the rest of the company and we shared it on Yammer, it made it okay for people to have weird things going on in video calls, because that's life. You might just get a cat walking across the keyboard. It's like, let's all get over it. It's going to happen. And we've encouraged a sort of a sense of fun. And I think, I'm not sure if you can see it very particularly well, but one of my teams during Hangouts, if they think someone's not paying attention, they will put a hat on and see how long it takes to notice. And it's just kind of little things like that it's okay just to sort of have a bit of fun with it. It does lead to some strange behavior. So we have a sort of Skype ongoing chat. When we win a new client, everyone celebrates. And basically, they're just talking in emojis now. So it's all dancing turkeys and unicorns, because who needs words when you've got dancing turkeys and unicorns? But really, my point is that it has to be about connecting in a very human way. So we do encourage lots of meetups, and we do invest in our staff for training, getting them to come into London, going to America, all that sort of thing, because I think that's when you get the magic happening. There are some financial benefits, which maybe I can kind of like happily talk to people in the break about, but people get a bit sort of worried about remote working, but it genuinely does lead to more diverse teams and a more flexible workforce and better retention as well. But there are challenges, and I think really it is about how do you foster creativity when you're not in the same room as someone else. And this is something that we are constantly working on, and we think we've smashed kind of a certain amount of it, but it's something that we will be looking forward to, and perhaps introducing virtual, just all sorts of different technical things, but sometimes I think you just need to get people in a room. And so that would be my call to action, is move away from totally remote and move to a more sort of hybrid model. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent. If there was sort of a theme that emerged for me from that, it was that you're making lots of subtle things.
Yeah.
You said that a lot. It's a very nuanced approach. To what extent do they emerge and you spot them and encourage them bottom up? And to what extent are you trying to prescribe those things top down?
Definitely bubbling up from the bottom. So that's the one where people were sharing photos. That was driven by staff wanting to connect themselves. It's not like I said, can you all start using emojis to discuss things? Again, that just started happening. And it goes off in weird directions. You almost have to just let it go. I mean, we had a client party and staff party, and there's a video of about 5 of my team actually reenacting the dancing granny on Skype because it's just become a thing. So I think you just have to just see what happens. But if you're very prescriptive and top down, it doesn't work. So I think just sitting back and let it happen. Yeah,
that certainly sort of tallies with culture change theory. There are no big levers. You've got to do lots of small things, definitely. And time zones. I mean, is there some special trick?
Well, when daylight savings happens, it's an absolute nightmare, but because we're looking after clients, social media, and you have to be there at the right time and everything. I think what's really interesting is more about the cultural change, and I've got a secret weapon. So time zones are actually, it's just more about process and using communication channels that people can come and see at their own time. So if it's all live chat, that's a disaster. Yep. But if you're leaving comments up in a sort of forum style, Google Docs, etc. But my secret weapon is I have this amazing guy called Richard Simcott, who is a hyper polyglot. And he speaks at conferences. He's got his own cult following and a YouTube channel. There's a video of him singing Frozen, Let It Go in 24 languages or something like that. He's incredible. And he helps us understand the different cultures. And so I run it as a global team. It's not, we have the Australian team with the American team, whatever. It's a global company. And then we've put things in to make sure that everyone is connecting from a cultural point of view.
Excellent, thank you. Questions for Tamara, please, like where can I get a global hyper-polyglot?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so in Australia, there's really not, I think there's only about 3 or 4 people, and Australia's really big. I've never been very good at geography, but I know this, it's very big. And so those people they can't be popping into each other's houses. It would be like a 3-hour flight or 6-hour flight. So again, it's that we connect them back to the mothership. So their connection is with their team. And we found that we have, we work in pods. So the teams are actually across different time zones. So there's always someone to talk to. There's no sense of, it's UK, now the lights go off, now it's, this country. We have people, just all working at different time zones so that no one's ever alone. There's always someone online, and that's really important.
Cool, thank you. One last question, please, very quickly.
Yeah, we've tried some. So we use MindMeister to do some live mapping. We have a smart interactive board in the London office that people can connect to with an iPad or their phone or their PC, and they can be drawing things, and it's actually updating live in the office, which is really freaky, but I love it. And it does the Minority Report thing where you can actually do that and move it across. It's the best thing ever. But there are some tools that you can actually move little Post-it notes around, but we haven't completely nailed it. But we do have, what we often have is maybe some people in the office and the rest are dialing in on video call, and then we've got things going on the wall, but we haven't quite cracked that yet. But if we can, that would just release us from a creative point of view. But I think there is something about connecting when you're in the same room. You do pick up on body language and just mood and all sorts of things, and it's very hard to replicate that.
Yeah. We're hyper attuned to all the information coming off each other's faces. And,
yeah.
I'm dying to follow up and ask you about where you see the evolution of those tools going, but we're out of time. Sure. Please find Tamara at the break, and I'll be asking her that question later on as well. A round of applause for Tamara, please. Thanks very much.